Welcome to another episode of the Sports Enthusiast podcast. I am your host, Aaron Randak, joined by...
Ashton McConnell.
And he's here again.
Lucas McGee.
We are very excited to have you guys join us for another episode. Try to keep these weekly. Last week, we're sorry on the YouTube front. For those of you that are watching there, it was up a little late. There were some issues. We had to send in a report about that. So hopefully it should be fixed this week and we should get it up in time. Been a good week of sports. A lot of upsets in different categories and ready to roll. Make sure to check out the Instagram at the Sports Enthusiast. The Twitter is at SportsENTPod. Let us know your opinions, your thoughts, what we can do better, what you think we don't do well enough, anything of that sort.
And before we start, you may hear coughing in the background. I'm not feeling 100%. My throat isn't feeling that great, so if you hear that, that's probably me.
Playing through pain. We like to see that. Let's just get right into, how we start every single episode. Our power rankings.
Here we go. Number 10, the Oakland Raiders.
Ooh, that's their first appearance on the power rankings.
Yeah,
I like it.
They have been turning it around this year. Derek Carr's actually looking like kind of his older self, and part of that is Josh Jacobs being amazing. Part of it, too, John Gruden. He's done an excellent job coaching this year. I don't think he's gotten enough credit as he should be given.
Yeah, I mean, if this would have been last year having John Gruden become the coach, then everyone would have been on fire, but all the hype kind of died down, and now the Raiders are flying under the radar. I wouldn't put them in the top 10, but I like the bold claim.
I got Carolina here. I don't think
Respectable.
they should fall as far as most people have them fall. They lost to a top 5 team, and it was at the end of the game because McCaffrey didn't get across the goal line. Don't get me started.
Yeah, I think, I could have Carolina in my top 10 too.
Yeah.
I don't, but it's completely respectable. I have Dallas. Like you kind of said with Carolina, they lost in a really close game to, in my opinion, a top 5 team. So that's just, I think Dak is a really good quarterback. Zeke is one of the best running backs in football, and they have a great O-line. On to number 9, we got Ash.
Okay, number 9. I know they suffered a big loss, Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, Patty first came back, amazing, over 454 yards, I believe, passing, 3 touchdowns, phenomenal. Once again, the defense collapsing. I don't know why. They played really well with Matt Moore, but with Patrick Mahomes, they just seem to struggle. I don't know what it is.
I think it's just inconsistency. It's not like you don't know what to expect week to week, which you don't love to see.
And kind of clock management, too. They had the lead, and then they messed up the field goal. They got an intentional grounding, gave Tennessee better field position, and we saw the end result.
I'm going Philly. I had them high last week, and I didn't want to push them all the way out yet, but I just left Philly at 9. I don't got much behind it.
Philly, for me, would have been 11, so for that to be on there, I think there's a reasonable team. My number 9 is actually the Texans. You guys might think that's a little low, but I'm not as high on them as other people. I don't think their safeties are very good. They have picked up a couple corners that I think could really help their team out a lot, but I just don't have them as one of the upper echelon teams right now.
Now to our number 8 team, I have the Minnesota Vikings.
Whoa, at 8? Did they go down?
No, they weren't even on my list last week, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they were. I would have killed you if they weren't. I'm pretty sure they were. Okay, continue. Sorry. I got you off track.
Well, I have them at 8. Kirk Cousins finally won a big primetime game, but part of that was Dalvin Cook was an absolute monster against the Cowboys. I mean, he kind of did what Aaron Jones did a few weeks back.
Except better. And yeah. Like they're the better team.
Let's see what Kirk Cousins has to do behind. That's all I have to say.
My number 8 team is the Texans to get off of this very poorly run Kirk Cousins roast. My number 8 team's Texans. I don't have much to say on the Texans. They're kind of just maintaining where they are, and that's perfectly fine.
Deshaun Watson's a baller.
Watson's good. I like their running back duo. Same stuff I said last week.
Yeah.
Nothing new.
And sorry to interrupt, I had the Vikings at 10 last
Told
week.
you had them. Okay, my number 8 team is the Kansas City Chiefs. We kind of mentioned it. I think they'll go up next week whenever they play next. I'm not sure if they're on a bye this week. I didn't check. But I think the Chiefs will eventually they'll work their way back up these rankings. I just think they're kind of in a slump right now. But yeah, they're 6-4, so we can't really put them too high.
Number 7 team, I have the Texans just coming off a bye. Big game versus Baltimore. This could be kind of maybe who takes down New England, or like if Houston wins
New
this.
England's still 8-1 or 9-1, one of the two.
Yeah,
8-1.
8-1.
I mean Baltimore beat them still. That doesn't mean Houston can't be one of those teams. If they beat Baltimore, they could be added to that pile. But we'll see if Deshaun Watson can mainly just kind of carry this Texans team to the playoffs.
Number 7, I have the Vikings. I'm a little bit higher on them than Ashton. I think Dalvin Cook is the second best running back in football right now. And he's showing it. And he's on a team with amazing receivers, which makes Kirk Cousins look good.
Thielen hasn't been playing, actually, so Kirk has been doing that without one of the best receivers in football.
They have a great receiving core through and through.
No, they don't. No, they have a top 2. Olabisi Johnson, Laquan Treadwell.
Laquan Treadwell is terrible, I'll give you that, but Johnson's not been bad at all this year.
Yeah, but
I
he's
think
not.
that there's talent in him that's making Cousins look better. I just hate Cousins.
I think
like
Cousins
their tight
is-
ends.
I think Cousins
and
is making
statement.
BC kind of look amazing. He's a 7th round pick type of guy. Okay,
So is
Lucas.
Tom Brady. Continue.
He was the 6th.
I don't care.
My number 7 team is San Francisco. I know you guys might think it's a little low, but I don't care.
Idiot.
The first time they play some real competition, they lose. I know they were hurt. I don't even think Seattle's that good either. I'm low on the entire NFC West. But I can't find it in me to have the Niners any higher than this. I actually moved them down within the last half hour. I don't think they're as advertised. Their defense is great. They have George Kittle. They have a really rushing attack. I just don't think they are one of the 5 best teams in football.
I disagree because my number 6 team is the Seahawks. Russell Wilson playing with hardly any receivers. Josh Gordon only been there 10 days. It doesn't
Hardly
look
any
like-
receivers.
Hold on.
Tyler
I'm
Lockett,
gonna cut you
DK
off.
Metcalf.
He got hurt.
He's still there.
Yeah, but he got hurt for most of the game. So what does
Will
Russell Wilson?
Disley?
Has been out, hasn't he?
Or no,
He
I
was
said the
on
wrong.
the-
I said the wrong.
He
tight
was
end.
on the-
I said the wrong. tight end.
Yeah.
I was like,
My
whoa.
bad.
Yeah, but
Achilles tears are now
they had-
relevant
Nick
injury.
Vannett.
I mean,
Nick Vannett.
honestly, for both teams in this game, they had how many injuries, and it just so happened to be the Seahawks pulled it out. And what I will say though, this game could have ended in a tie, but San Fran's kicker, he had a meme moment.
I also had Seattle at 6. I'm pretty big on the Seahawks, just because Russell Wilson's playing like a man amongst men.
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
I actually just moved the Seahawks down from a team that has been rising in the past half an hour. Seahawks, yeah, Russell Wilson's a baller. Chris Carson's really good. They have a decent line. Not much to say. Clowney's really good on defense. They had some good ballers on that team.
Number 5, I have the Saints. Sunday was very interesting. It's like I don't know. It was weird for the Saints. They couldn't get anything going, partly because Drew Brees got sacked 6 times. And the difference between him and Teddy Bridgewater, Teddy could be kind of a little bit more mobile around the pocket and maybe avoid a couple more of those sacks. But that doesn't mean Teddy's better than Drew.
I think he's better. I will say it straight up.
My number 5 team is the Packers. I mean, they're really good this year. Aaron Jones is insanely good, not going to lie. And Aaron Rodgers is good. I still don't like Aaron Rodgers, but that's from a youth thing that happened. But
Care to explain?
I've lost a game of Madden that would have put me into the Tier 1 season thing, and it was Aaron Rodgers. That'll traumatize you in the 4th grade, I'll tell you.
Let me see
But
where
in all
Lucas's
serious-
biases come from.
In all seriousness, I'm surprised on how well that receiving core seems to be able to get back up no matter what happens to them. And their defense is held up, and good team.
My number 5 team, the team that's rised up a couple spots. I had them at 7 earlier today. Got the Saints. I don't think Drew Brees is a top 10 quarterback. I put him like at somewhere 12 to 14 right now, if that. I don't think he's playing very. I mean, he's gonna give you the high completion percentage and stuff like that. He just can't throw the ball deep. He's got to really wind up to throw it deep. I mean, Michael Thomas I've been low on him the past couple of years. This year he is proving himself to be one of the best receivers in the league, no doubt, no question. Alvin Kamara, he's been hurt recently, just coming back. Latavius Murray's a really good back. I think this offensive line, they had a bad game, but I think that's kind of a one-off. I really think they do have a good offensive line. Andrews Pete, Ryan Ramczyk, guys like that can really provide some good value, and their defense has been amazing all year.
What I will say about Drew Brees, I kind of compare him to like to Tom Brady, but not as like good receivers and kind of like just a shorter version.
I disagree with that.
You say that Michael Thomas isn't as good as Edelman?
No, but that's one receiver. Look at the depth, though. I'm talking about depth-wise.
I mean, you got guys like Traquan Smith, and I mean, they're decent receivers. Jared Cook.
I think
Alvin
that
Kamara.
they could compete with a team of like Edelman, and next was like Alamadoa, and then before that there was Moss and Welker, but they didn't have a tight end. Then they have Watson and tight end, but they didn't have a slot. Versus the Saints have a slot now. I mean, it's hard to compare them.
Well, Welker was the slot receiver on that team.
Okay, then they didn't have a 2 receiver. Might be. It doesn't matter. They had 2 receivers that were good.
Yeah, nothing really to add. Ashton, your number 4?
Number 4, Green Bay Packers. Big win against a rising team in the Carolina Panthers. Came down to a goal line stand. And, yeah, Lucas is not happy about it. But Aaron Jones, he is having a big year. And one thing I will say, knock on wood, he's been hardly injury prone. Ever since coming into the league.
That's a sentence right there. Hardly injury prone.
He's been hardly injured. He's usually injury prone. Ever since he came into the league, he's gotten injured a lot. But this year, he's kind of backed down or died down on that. And Aaron Rodgers doing what he needs to do, making the plays he needs to make. So.
Well, Aaron, do you have the nuts for today? Because I think you just screwed your boy Aaron Jones, and you could use some Planters nuts after that one.
They are in my car if you'd like some.
Number 4, I do have the Saints. I'm huge on Kamara now that he's slowly coming back. I've always loved Alvin Kamara. He's been big for me. Murray stepped in well. Breeze has sucked. I'll give it to you, honestly. Breeze has just sucked. But Michael Thomas is doing good. Ted Ginn is running routes at least. He's not getting the targets that I think he should be getting. I think he should be playing a role kind of like Christian Kirk, who I'm also very big on. A guy who
touchdown week.
Yeah, he was on my team. Someone that just runs deep routes. I think Ted Ginn can fill that role. That's what I got.
My number 4 team, along with Ashton, is the Green Bay Packers. I mean, you got Aaron Rodgers, who I still think is the best player in football. LaFleur, I'm still indifferent about him. I think he's been very inconsistent, but if you have Aaron Rodgers on your team, that really helps. Aaron Jones has had a big year, and Devontae Adams is kind of working his way back to being 100%, which is good to see.
Number 3, I actually am going to change this up, flip my 3 and 2. Number 3, I'm going to have the San Francisco 49ers.
I think that's high.
Yeah, but looking at that Monday night game between both teams, they had a lot of injuries offensively that kind of hurt them a lot. I mean, Garoppolo didn't have Kittle at all, and I think Sanders left the game at one point, never came back. I mean, Garoppolo didn't make great throws, but some of them were drops by his receivers. So, I mean, he's a young quarterback. He hasn't really had to deal with a bunch of his weapons being out. I mean, look in New England when they had their weapons. So I think he's just got to learn to, like Aaron Rodgers against the Eagles. He struggled kind of that week because he wasn't used to not having like Devontae, but over the past few weeks, he got used to playing with these other receivers and making it worth it. So.
Jimmy GQ ain't no Aaron Rodgers, though, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, but just using an example.
Yeah.
Number 3, I put New England for variation reasons, just because we would have probably ended up with very similar top
Yeah,
threes.
that's the reason why you would put New England at 3. Not because you actually think New England is the third best team.
I think they're second, but I think.
So then put them at 2.
I think Ashton has them at 2, and I think you have them at 1. So
I will.
3.
Yeah, you are right. I'll just interrupt now. I do have him at 2. I had him at 3, and then thinking about it as we're getting closer, I moved him to 2.
Yeah, so Patriots are a good team. I think these top 3 of mine, in my opinion, are 3 teams that are the top 3. Don't care what anyone
Obviously.
says.
If you have them in the top 3, they should
But
probably be
I
the
think
top
we
3.
should
Yeah.
have everyone's top 3. I'm mainly just hinting at Aaron because you can say you're number 3 so we can get ready to call you an idiot.
Minnesota. The guy's coming off a big win against the Cowboys in Dallas. Don't let me add on that. Kirk Cousins played well. Dalvin Cook is the man. He's been the best, one of the best, 1 or 2 this year in terms of running backs in football. You'll see that actually in our All-Pro team predictions that you will be seeing later in the podcast. It'll be right at the end, so stick around for that. Getting back to the point, you got Thielen coming back. Stephon Diggs has had a great year. You got 2 good tight ends, Irv Smith and Kyle Rudolph. The run blocking's been above average. The pass blocking has sucked. That's fine. I'll deal with it. We can run the ball. That's all I need. And they have Eric
And
Kendricks.
Kirk Cousins sucks.
False. And Eric Kendricks is having under the radar year, but he has slowly turned into one of the best linebackers in football, and nobody's talking about him.
And yeah, I did say I moved the Patriots to the number 2 spot because thinking about it, if I had to take Jimmy Garoppolo or Tom Brady, I'm taking Tom Brady because Tom Brady's way more experienced than Jimmy G, and Bill Belichick is way more experienced than Kyle Shanahan. So I'm gonna have to trust those 2 over Shanahan and Garoppolo.
Number 2 is Baltimore for me. And I say that because when I sat down and thought about Baltimore and the 49ers, I still wanted to say the 49ers based off of defenses. I think, obviously, my number 1 is 49ers. I'm bigger on the 49ers defense. It's stronger up front, in my opinion, and that's how I'm basing it, since it seems like there's a lot of teams focusing on running backs that are in these top 10 teams, more running back focused teams. And Lamar Jackson's having a great year. Mark Ingram's playing better than I thought he'd ever end up being after he left college. And the Ravens are good. I'll probably flip these every week for the rest of the year, but right now my number 2 is Baltimore.
My number 2 is also Baltimore. They're very close to being number 1, but I think they have the second best secondary in football. They're really good up front on that D-line. They don't have the pass rushing capability that the Niners do, but they do have a really good run defense. Like I say every week, they got big people. That's all. That's their motto. They got big offensive linemen. They got big defensive linemen. They will just out muscle you in these close games, cold weather games. You really want to be able to win up front, and I think they can do that. Lamar has. I do worry about him in cold weather, throwing the ball, but I mean using his legs. That just adds a whole new threat to the offense, and I think that they're the second best team in football.
I think they're the first best team, the best team in the NFL because of Lamar Jackson. Literally, he looked like Michael Vick, like you were playing Madden back in the day with that spin move touchdown. I know it's the Bengals, but this man has been unreal. People still can't find a way to stop him. He's just electric. And that defense, once again, balled out. Marcus Peters has been a big addition. I think on the year he has 3 total defensive touchdowns. That is huge. That's really good for a defensive player. And it will be interesting, though. Lamar Jackson, he's been staying healthy. He's been avoiding the big hits. Can he continue to do that? Which I think he can, and I think they can keep that run attack going.
That's something RG3 was playing a lot like Lamar was now, not as high.
That Heisman backfield, though,
That's
with
kinda
RG3,
cool.
Lamar, and Mark Ingram, I think that adds, honestly, a whole new threat to the offense if you have 2 quarterbacks out there that can both run.
And all I have to say is, if you see Lamar with shades on, good luck.
But as I was saying before these douchebags rudely interrupted
Whoa, that's rude. Whoa, I
me,
feel disrespected.
I think that the way that RG3 was playing back in Washington was similar to how Lamar is playing now. when RG3 went down with that ACL, he kind of vanished, if we're being honest. Now he's kind of coming back slowly. Not really, but slowly.
Well, he can sling it still.
As I was saying again, I hope Lamar doesn't follow that same fate. Ashton, I will apologize. Back podcast 1, I did look at you and say, there's no way you can compare Lamar Jackson to Michael Vick. I think Lamar Jackson can start being compared to Michael Vick now. But my number 1 team is 49ers. I like their running backs. I don't like Jimmy G very much. I like their defense. I pretty much already said it. Go ahead.
Okay, a little look ahead here. We will be doing our award predictions this episode 2. So Lamar Jackson most likely will be featured in some of those teams that Michael Vick, with some awards that Michael Vick may not have won. So we'll be seeing that. My number 1 team, the Patriots. They've been number 1 this whole time. They were tied last week, but I've been convinced otherwise to put the Patriots back at 1. I don't need to say anymore. Bill Belichick, Tom Brady. There's nothing that needs to be said. And now, I think we could probably move on to some big storylines. And the first one is, can the Chiefs bounce back? They are 6-4, I believe, right now, coming off a loss. What are your thoughts, Lucas?
No. I think they are at a point of no return, as weird as that sounds.
Did you have them in your top 10?
I did not.
Okay.
I don't like their defense at all, personally. I think that's where a lot of the flaws are coming in. Mahomes and Hill are doing their thing, but even last year, Hunt was doing what he needed to do, and Damian Williams isn't doing what he needs to do, and it's pushing these guys back. And that's my viewpoint on this.
It is definitely looking like a old Rodgers team where he's got to carry the load every single week. And it's kind of hard for the Chiefs to do that with New England, Baltimore, Houston, those good teams. It's not going to be very easy to do that. I mean, we saw that in the past when KC had to play them. They almost blew it against Baltimore. They lost to Houston. The Colts just ran it right over them. That's very scary for this team.
I think they can bounce back. They have guys on their defense. They don't have a collective team. They have stars. They have Chris Jones and they have Matthew. 2 guys that I think are, when at their best, can be at Pro Bowl levels. So I think they can be serviceable on defense enough to where their offense can carry them.
Alrighty, next storyline, we're going to go with, there's no remaining undefeated teams. Let's hear some thoughts, Ashton.
I mean, it couldn't last forever, and, I mean, the Niners you could say they were kind of lucky to be undefeated, but, I mean, I don't really have much to say.
Yeah, I think we could see actually a couple teams win out. I know that's kind of a bold statement, but when you look at teams like, I know this is going to sound biased when you look at like the Vikings schedule. They have a tough game against the Packers, and that's really their only game where you could say they're playing a contender. Okay, get something
that's awesome. It's basically whoever. That could be the same for the Packers too. I mean, they play San Francisco on Sunday night, but otherwise it's pretty easy from there. Besides that Packers-Vikings game, because look at the Vikings schedule. They play at Seattle. Otherwise, once again, it's just that Packers-Vikings game. That could be what the division comes down to. But the thing about the division for the Vikings, even if they win, that loss to the Bears could be huge for them in the future.
Yeah, and I think that's actually another argument. Not just the record-wise is a different argument that I could use to have the Vikings at 3 and the Packers at 4. Their schedules were actually really front-loaded this year when you look at it, so they're going to have an easier road here, which was why I think both teams can easily go into the playoffs. One's going to be the wild card, and one's going to be the division winner, obviously, and it's going to be a close race, one to watch for sure.
Yeah, I really wish I could say Carolina has an easier second half of the schedule, but yeah, no. I'm pretty sure that Carolina is going to end up losing their chance into the playoffs before the end of the year.
The NFC is so deep. You got 11 teams that can make the playoffs right now. It's crazy.
And that's not very fun for NFC team fans that aren't the top 3 NFC teams, if that makes sense. I really thought the 49ers were going to make it farther than this week. I did not think the Seahawks was going to be their loss. But we're here now. Colin Kaepernick, he's getting his workouts after about 2 years of yelling for him. What do you guys got to say?
Well, it's the wrong time. I think this should have happened 2 years ago, like he said. There's 11 teams going, which shows that there is interest in him. I think Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk pointed this out. It's on a Saturday because it gives GMs an excuse not to attend. If it's on a Tuesday and you don't attend, then it looks bad on your team because it's on a Saturday. The NFL did a really good job of protecting its GMs and not forcing them to go to the workout.
But what will be interesting is a lot of teams' backups, are they really better than Colin Kaepernick?
I don't think so, but it just comes down to, do you want the media circus as well?
Yeah.
I think that some teams could use a quarterback pretty hard right now. I'll be the one to say it, the Bears.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
I mean,
he has a similar playing style to Trubisky as well.
And Trubisky's having a horrible year. Chase Daniel was good when he came in, but he didn't fit the system.
I mean, you obviously won't have you wouldn't have Cap start for another 3 to 4 weeks, but
exactly.
I mean, it'd be interesting
if
just
the Bears were
might as well
willing to
try it.
Yeah, if they were willing to make a late season playoff run.
Yeah, I mean, if they're gonna get Cam Newton next year anyway, so it looks like. Sorry, Shaq.
Otherwise, I could see some of these teams going to the playoffs who lack a backup. I could see the Colts making a move for him also.
Mm-hmm.
Hoyer sucked.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brian Hoyer. You were one of my favorites when you were still bald and 25. But that time has passed.
Yeah, I mean, I know he has a different playing style than Kirk Cousins, but when you look at the Vikings, we got rid of Kyle Slaughter in the offseason, who I really liked as a backup. He was never actually the true backup, but he's always played well in preseason games. We got rid of him. Trevor Simeon's our backup right now. He's okay, but I would like to see Cap in there and just give him a chance to maybe earn that backup role to Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where Cap's focus should be. Is he should want to back up a playoff team because,
and he can prove himself too, because he's going to be in practice every day with these coaches. Media is going to be trying to get him to start as well.
Something that would be kind of long run, but could end up happening if he ended up in Baltimore. I don't know how strong RG3's knee is. I'll just say that now. Let's go through the hypotheticals. Lamar, a running quarterback, hurts an ankle. Has to be out for a week. RG3.
Oh, Ashton's got some news.
All right, it's just about Colin Kaepernick's team. You were talking about the playoff teams, but I will officially announce the 11 teams. The Patriots, Dolphins, Broncos, Lions, Cardinals, Falcons, Browns, Giants, Jets, Bucks, Redskins. The only playoff team that I can see is the Patriots.
Which they do kind of lack a backup right now.
They have Jarrett Stidham, though, who they just drafted in the 4th round out of Auburn. I'd assume he would still be the backup even if Cap signs there, but it'd be interesting to see. Bill Belichick can work some magic. You never know.
Also, the Broncos.
They should just sign him right now and start him.
Yeah, but
because
start him.
Sucks. Drew Lock's not coming back still.
No,
which is horrible.
I think he plans to
I don't
come
think
back.
he should. There's no reason for
His
him.
thumb is not strong.
He's a rookie quarterback. The team is horrible. Their
the
offense
only
is
reason
horrible.
that I could see him joining is because they got a lot of young people starting right now.
That's true.
And he could grow with those guys.
I think that's what practice is for, though. I think if you sign Kaepernick right now, I would start Kaepernick on the Broncos. It's sad.
It's hard to start somebody in practice but not start him in a game kind of thing.
Yeah, I understand.
He wouldn't be able to get his reps with Deshaun Hamilton, Cortland Sutton, Philip Lindsay, and Noah Fant, who won't leave the Broncos for another 3 years probably.
Yeah.
That's why I think Drew Lock should be able to step into a starting role, but I don't think his thumb's good yet. So
yeah. Okay, now this is just going to be a short little segment here. I want to talk about something that's very controversial, but I really just thought of this on my own randomly, and I want to share it before I forget about it. I don't see why PEDs are talked about in such a negative way. And especially when I'm just talking about anabolic steroids. I think that when you say something is performance enhancing and you only include mostly anabolic steroids in that discussion, I think there are other drugs that are being used openly and are encouraged and are good for you. My best example here is caffeine. Why is caffeine not banned if anabolic steroids are banned? I don't understand that, and I'd actually like to talk to someone within like an actual authority position. Like I don't think either should be banned, is what I'm saying. But if one is banned, I don't see how the other isn't.
I think some of it is they had to build a threshold at some point, so they were ready for when newer technologies came along. And since anabolic steroids was their starting point, I think they just haven't changed it with the way that drugs have changed. I imagine they were a little bit more dangerous when they first became to light, and I think maybe they could make a change. But the word steroids is so
It's
destroyed.
hated on by everybody, which
It's destroyed because even in like junior high, you're told
Yeah,
this
you're
is what
l-
steroids will do to you,
yeah.
and that's kind of why it's banned in professional sports. It's more of a way that you look up to professional sports,
Mhm.
the ethics reasoning behind it.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna keep going on here. If you don't, there are guys that aren't gonna be in the Hall of Fame, and especially baseball, because they took steroids, and I just don't think it is a reasonable argument to keep someone out of something that's supposed to show their greatness and what they did for the sport. When you look at Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens, you can make the argument best hitter of all time, best pitcher of all time. They will not be in the Hall of Fame because of steroids. I don't. That just doesn't make any sense to me. And when you look at these other drugs that can also give you performance enhancing benefits, the thing that everyone says PEDs, performance enhancing drugs. When you take a drug similar to caffeine, that's a performance enhancer, and I don't see why one is banned and one is legal.
Ashton, you want to give your thoughts on the whole subject?
I don't really have much to say. I mean, if it's not really like, I don't really see the big deal about it. I mean, if it's that bad where you're unstoppable and your team like can't be stopped, then obviously. But steroids just they don't really.
Steroids is essentially what it does is it allows you to recover quicker, and then in turn you can build muscle by strength training and stuff at a more efficient rate. But when you look at drugs like caffeine, it gives you an energy boost. It allows you to gain more strength as well. I don't see why one is different from the other.
Okay, now we are gonna get to our next.
Oh, sorry to cut you off. Let us know your thoughts on that, because that's really a controversial topic, and I think some listeners' thoughts would be nice on that. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine. We're going to be heading to our next topic, going kind of away from the professional type sports. We're going into college now. We'll start with the game of the week, obviously. LSU and Bama. That was a great game. I mean, I think it was closer than what it should have been, but LSU pretty much dominated that whole game.
LSU started off really strong, but Bama was coming back with a vengeance. Daniel Jeremiah, one of the best, scouts in the media. This is kind of off topic, but Henry Ruggs, the second best receiver in my opinion on Alabama, who you could make the argument as being just as good as Jerry Jeudy this year. It's crazy how good he's playing. He chased down after a pick. He was flying down the field. I don't know if you guys saw it. If you guys want to go to Daniel Jeremiah's Twitter at Move the Sticks, he tweeted about it. It's just a crazy play that I think everyone should see.
I was actually personally unable to watch the Alabama LSU game.
I worked during most of it, but
I was at the Iowa-Wisconsin game. I would love to drop some comments on that, but it'd be kind of traumatizing. The LSU-Bama game, from the way I understood it, was LSU played the way that I think LSU should have been playing for the last 4 years. I think LSU, since, how far back should I go? 2009, I'll throw out a number, have been dropping compared to what they used to be, and now they're starting to play like the way I remember LSU as. And I don't remember where that game was. Was that in Alabama?
It was in Tuscaloosa. Yep.
Which that surprises me, personally. I think the reason that LSU has one of the best records is because they're honestly probably one of the hardest places to play. It gets pretty loud.
Death Valley.
Death Valley. And yeah, I like LSU this year personally.
Yeah.
I like them more than Alabama, mainly because I hate Alabama, but it's the way I am.
Okay, going into a big game this week. Iowa and Minnesota. Now the question is Minnesota the real deal, or are they just kind of like a phony type team? Just got a lucky win against Penn State.
Well, I'll say a quote from a guy in the bathroom at the Iowa-Wisconsin game. When we were talking about the upcoming Iowa-Minnesota matchup, a guy from Wisconsin asked this guy from Iowa, "Hey, do you think you guys can beat Minnesota?" He looked at him and all he said was, "Well, Minnesota knows how to score points and Iowa doesn't." And I think that sums it up. I like Minnesota's offense. Their defense is holding a lot better than I thought it would. And I'm just surprised. I'm thoroughly surprised by Minnesota. And they're playing at the same level. I really thought a dropoff would come. Now I don't think there will be. I think they'll stay strong throughout the season. I think they'll blow it in the playoff if they make it that far. Not trying to tease or anything, but go ahead.
I love seeing the Gophers do good. I mean, I've been an Iowa guy my whole life, but I love all the Minnesota teams. I can't root against the Minnesota team. I love seeing the Gophers do well. I think it's just better for the whole state. They love the Gophers in Minnesota. It's crazy. They're so passionate about football. They're finally getting a good team, and I think, man, if Minnesota, I know it's highly unlikely, but if we see Minnesota versus Ohio State in the Big Ten championship,
I don't think it's that unlikely.
No, I'm saying, let me finish. If Minnesota upsets Ohio State, that entire state would just go into a frenzy, and it's awesome to see.
I'm driving up to Minneapolis if that happens.
I'm going with you.
Because
we just shook hands on it. We're going.
I feel like, and I may never come back because I think that will be.
Or no, where would it be at?
Anywhere.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be down the streets of Minneapolis.
Yes, it's going to be crazy.
It's going to be a huge deal. And while we're on the topic, I'll go off the fly on the likelihood of that. Justin Fields is an amazing quarterback.
Absolutely. We'll talk about him when we do our predictions here.
But Minnesota's defense is seriously on a new tier this year, in my opinion. I think Minnesota could do this. I feel like I'm at game day and I'm going to have 1,000 screaming fans behind me as I say that, but we'll see how this turns out. I think there's a chance. Even though I am rooting for Iowa over Minnesota this week,
yep.
If Iowa was to beat Minnesota, or if Minnesota was to beat Iowa, I want Minnesota to win out. I want the Big Ten exposure in that college football playoff because the Big Ten is the best conference in college football.
Besides
Change my mind. It is not the
Besides
SEC.
the SEC.
Ridiculously overrated. Go ahead.
And
Ashley.
as far as this week, it's basically who's the better quarterback, Nate Stanley or Tanner Morgan?
Nate Stanley is a 6'4", 240 pussy that can't get across the line when
Whoa,
he is 2 yards
yeah.
away. Sorry,
Okay.
When he went for two.
We are sorry for everyone wearing headphones. That must have been the loudest thing you've ever
It could
heard.
get worse later on.
I was at that game. I watched Stanley take off. It looked like he was going literally in eighth speed. He got to the line. He's a 240 quarterback. I thought he could at least overpower the safety that was pushing him over. No. He gets held there. Sorry. Don't get me started. That was a rough game. I loved every second of it, though. Camp Randall is a beautiful place. The people of Wisconsin are very nice and inviting. I was surprised. They got a little more mad when I took off my coat and I showed my Iowa colors, but they were good till then. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
Okay. And now, as we've kind of talked about the playoff, what would we say is our playoff right now for the college football playoff?
Go start from 6 if you guys.
Do you want to start from 6?
Yeah. Do the first 2 out.
First 2 out. My number 6 right now is Georgia.
Okay.
I think they're going to lose a game in here. They're not playing the way I think Georgia should be, personally, but it's Georgia. I could be wrong. I mean, hell of a team.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
My number 6 would. I'm actually really debating this. I'll probably put Georgia there as well. They're so close to being 5, but right now they're 6.
At number 6, I'm going to put Minnesota. I
Okay.
think they'll keep it going and they'll just fall short because obviously people think the SEC is such this big conference.
Well, once Minnesota wins the Big Ten over Ohio State, then they'll get some recognition.
And I just want everyone to know, as I'm making my prediction, I do have Minnesota beating Ohio State in the Big Ten
You do?
championship.
Oh.
Just so you know where my rankings fall.
Well, no.
Understand
This
what
is
I'm
right
saying.
now, though.
I'm going. I think my top 6 is going to be where it ends up.
Okay.
That's where I'm going with for this one. I'm thinking of it in the long run.
Okay, so
even though everyone else isn't.
we're not, but that's fine. Keep going.
I already wrote my notes for this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's got it.
Did you say your number 6?
Yep.
So we're on my number 5. All right. The people of Alabama can come after me. I got Alabama falling short for the first time. I think that this is the time it finally happens. Something's weird in Alabama. I don't know what it is. I just don't have my normal feeling of, all right, Alabama's the best in the nation. There's no chance in hell. Like I normally do. This year I don't. I really feel like there's something different. Wish I could tell you what it is. But I do think that they're still the same normal talent. I just don't know why I feel so.
I think they're more talented than usual. It's just they did lose that game to LSU.
So I felt the same way before the LSU game, but that's beside the fact. Go ahead, Aaron.
My number 5 team is the aforementioned Gophers. I love the Gophers. Nobody's gonna put them in the top 5. This is my right now. This is like if I'm ranking them right now. The Gophers are 5. I love the Gophers. I don't know. I'm a Gopher fan now. I guess I'm hopping on the bandwagon. But it's. I just love to see them do good. I love to see these the Minnesota teams to do good. Like I said, the whole state's behind them. You can't really hate the Gophers. Like, come on.
Number 5, I have Georgia. They've kind of been playing all right. I think what will keep them out is that loss to South Carolina. That was bad look for them. I think that will be the only reason they don't make it in the playoff.
My number 4 team is Ohio State.
Ooh.
As I aforementioned said,
this is not. This
I
is
had
his
Minnesota
prediction.
beating Ohio State in the Big Ten championship, and I don't know really what you want me to say about them. I think everyone knows what's happening. Justin Fields is the best quarterback in football, debatably.
Yeah, debatably, but I like it. My number 4 is the Crimson Tide. I think that their battle back against LSU is really helping them out here. If that at halftime, if that score stays and if it increases, I don't think they're in my top 4. But since they battled back and they showed that they can compete with this LSU team, I have Alabama at 4.
At number 4, I have Clemson because their conference isn't as strong as the SEC, so I think that will give like LSU and Alabama more of an advantage over like a Clemson team. But I do think they are able to make it.
Number 3 is Golden Gophers,
I love it.
and I think it'll be a really fun time in the Midwest if that is true.
For sure. My number 3 team is the Clemson Tigers, led by Trevor Lawrence, who's having not a great year,
Yeah.
but I mean, he's still one of the best. He's still the best prospect in college football. I don't care if he's a year and a half away, or 2 years away.
And for my number 3 team, I have Alabama. I think, as you mentioned, both of you, or it might have been Aaron, that loss to LSU, that'll help Alabama out a lot because of how they battled back. And the SEC seems to have kind of a stronger schedule than Clemson in the ACC conference. So.
My number 2 is Clemson. I don't think they'll lose another game. I don't have much to say. I said that really fast, purposefully, because I didn't want people to ask questions. Aaron, you're up.
My number 2 is Ohio State. You mentioned Justin Fields. He's playing like one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. Chase Young, that's just unfortunate for him getting suspended for, I think, just stupid reasons. But they're still undefeated, and I think they do have a solid chance of winning the Big Ten.
Yeah. Number 2 is also Ohio State, and I think we have the same number 1. But yeah, I was going to bring up Chase Young. That's ridiculous. Have to ask for a loan for family to come see. That's ridiculous by the NCAA. We can discuss that another day, but still, Justin Fields has been balling out.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have a podcast where we just talk about ethics in sports because it's starting to look kind of crappy.
That's true.
My number 1 is LSU. Joe Burrows is the best quarterback right now.
Okay. I think he's my Heisman. I don't know if I'd call him the best, but yeah, LSU's my number 1.
I mean,
If you
They
give
have
the
the
Heisman to him, he deserves
No,
to be
but
best.
when I say like best quarterback, I'm talking about like if aliens come down, who do I want in college? It's not Joe Burrow. I don't know who it is right now, but it's not Joe Burrow. It's probably Justin Fields.
but I was gonna say if you said Tua,
It might be Trevor Lawrence.
Tua is injury prone. Like I think Joe Burrow's turned into kind of a more trustworthy quarterback than Tua. That's just my opinion. Yeah, LSU's number 1 for me.
A quarterback that's really great that people aren't really talking about is Jalen Hurts. He's having a great year. I don't care what you said. I just
Yeah.
wanted to throw that in there. Like, Oklahoma's not the best other than C.D. Lamb and him, but yeah.
Okay, now we're going to move on to our fantasy and sports betting, the topic we do every single week. We might be kind of going fast through this because Lucas does have to leave here really soon. We're going to try to get our award predictions in as well. So let's just start off. I went 0-3 again last week. I suck. I'm now 5-7. Ashton went 1-2. He's 7-5. And Lucas, he's still holding it down at 10-2. Went 2-1 last week. Let's just go through the picks quick. Ashton.
Okay, so the Cowboys are -3 at the lines. I'm taking the Cowboys. Matthew Stafford isn't going to play again, so
Jeff Driscoll's a good quarterback. Continue.
He's not that good of a quarterback. Though.
okay. I trusted the Ravens last week. It worked out. So Bengals at the Raiders -10.5 are the Raiders, and I'm taking them. And this one's a risky one. Chiefs are -4 at the Chargers. I'm actually going to take the Chiefs. I have confidence that they can get the job done.
All right, we got Falcons at Panthers -6. I'm going to go with Panthers. I say this stupid, and it works out every week, so everyone can go themselves.
Are the Panthers are favored by 6?
Yes.
Okay.
I got Broncos at Vikings -10.5. I'm going to go with the Broncos. I don't know if the Vikings will actually win by 10. Honestly,
What?
I don't know. That's my stupid pick of the week. It's going to work out, and you guys are going to feel like idiots.
I
The
mean-
Vikings are going to go
I mean-
60.
I'll give you credit. You did. I thought you were stupid when you picked the Falcons, and
I
look
did.
what
I actually
happened.
thought that was a good pick.
Well, you see, the thing is I'm 10-2. Not to
Yeah.
be egotistic.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Literally, if I
Lucas'
lose
strategy. Point. And then that's the team he picks, and it really seems to work out.
I'm going to Vegas pretty soon. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, let's not get
anyway.
too crazy here, pal.
Bills and Dolphins, they're +6. I'm going to go with the Bills. Singletary's really good, and he's going to show it this week. All I'm going to say.
Bills are -6.
Don't care. Same pick.
They're favored
End of
by
the week.
6 points. Okay, I'll run through mine quick. I have the Bills -5.5. They're just a better team. I have the Browns -2.5 tonight. Actually, we are recording this on a Thursday. So yeah, well, you guys will know how that happens when this is up. And then I have the Cowboys -4.5 at the Lions. I think that should be the pick of the week because Jeff Driscoll's starting. He's an okay quarterback, but he doesn't give 4 points against the Cowboys. On to our start-sit waivers. We do this every week as well. Start with Ashton on your start.
My start is Ronald Jones II. It may shock you, but I would trust it. I mean, the Bucks versus the Saints.
Arians came out again and said that Ronald Jones needs to be more in the top 3.
Yeah, but I mean, they tend to put up a lot of points against the Saints, so I feel like he could have a big day against the Saints.
All right, my start is Devin Singletary. I love Devin Singletary.
He's your man.
He is my boy. I picked him in the 9th round of fantasy, and it worked out, damn it. Go ahead, Aaron.
My start should actually, he should be a waiver pickup. I don't have him as my waiver pickup because I have a different guy that's kind of under the radar. But Brian Hill, he should be on every roster. Devontae Freeman's out. He might be out for an extended period of time. You could probably start Brian Hill and trust him this week, I believe.
Guy I would sit would be Todd Gurley. That
like
Rams offense is kind of struggling a lot. They play a tough Bears team. I know they're at home, but you never know with that Bears defense.
My sit will be David Johnson or any other Cardinal running back.
Don't touch him with a 10-foot pole.
10's generous. Make it 30. The Cardinals running back is now a committee. As sad as as much as I didn't want to say that. Between Edmonds, if he ever comes back, Johnson and Drake, it's going to be a committee for a few weeks at least.
Probably the rest of the season, sadly.
Probably
for
the next
David
few
Johnson.
years. I love David Johnson.
So do I.
It's just, he'll leave eventually.
For those of you that aren't aware, he went to UNI, and we're really close to UNI. So.
And I have an autograph by David Johnson when he was at UNI.
Yeah.
Big thing for me. Aaron?
My sit is Miles Sanders this week, playing the Patriots, one of the best defenses in football. He's been struggling this for me in fantasy. I have him in, I think, every single league because I really wanted him to do good. But you don't start him this week. Don't touch him.
And for the pickup, I have Randall Cobb. Last week, he had a big week against the Vikings. I think he's getting a little more comfortable in this offense. First year with the Cowboys, so.
Yeah. My waiver, get ready for this, D.D. Westbrook.
Okay.
Nick Foles threw 1 or 2 passes. I'm not for sure on which one it was.
Oh, I forgot Nick Foles was starting again.
And since he's starting now, it's just going to be D.D. Westbrook time. That's where he likes more than DJ Chark, as sad as it is.
Yeah. My waiver, it might kind of shock you guys. He was the guy that was really highly coveted at the start of the year. O.J. Howard. He finally had a good game last week, and
And it is a one and done. Thank you.
I think he can finally get going. Bruce Arians is kind of changing around the offense in Tampa Bay, getting more. He's not going down the field as much, he has been. I'm saying he won't as much. I think O.J. Howard can get involved, maybe get a couple touchdowns. Now we're gonna move on to our big award predictions that we've been talking about this year. We can start with MVP, or we're just gonna do one each. Ashton, start them off.
I think right now, especially after that Monday night game, you got to give it to Russell Wilson. He is pretty much putting the team on his back. He is unbelievable. You saw that he made plays with like hardly any receivers. A lot of them were hurt that night. So, yeah.
Biased alert, Christian McCaffrey. He is doing everything in his power to keep the Carolina team positive because they look like crap.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. Kyle Allen's the most inconsistent quarterback in Carolina since DeLone's last 2 years. And Matt Moore.
That's a throwback.
Yeah, we're taking it way back.
My MVP is the Lamar Jackson. Not much to be said. He's having a great year. Hard to debate that.
I mean, you could pick any one of those three.
I think there's 5 guys that you could say for MVP, and I wouldn't be mad.
Yeah. Now, Offensive Player of the Year, this is where I'll give it for McCaffrey. I think he'll just fall short of the MVP race to Russell Wilson, which I think you flip-flop whoever's not MVP between those two will be Offensive Player of the Year, and I'll give it to McCaffrey. He's kind of carrying the Panthers as well.
My Offensive Player of the Year will be Lamar Jackson. He generates the most offense out of any player in the world right now because he produces in the passing game, the rushing game, and honestly, if they felt the need, he can produce in the receiving game too.
You're not wrong. My Offensive Player of the Year is Aaron Rodgers. I've been leading the Packers all year. I don't think you can go wrong. I think if you say Lamar Jackson, Christian McCaffrey, Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers, who am I forgetting? I'm forgetting somebody. I don't know. There's like 5 guys you can say, and I wouldn't be mad.
Deshaun Watson.
I already said Deshaun.
Oh,
I said, okay,
but
you guys know what I mean.
Dumb. Now, Defensive Player of the Year, I'm giving it to Shaq Barrett. He's made a big improvement this year, doing big with sacks, interceptions, fumbles, doing it all. And, yeah.
My Defensive Player of the Year will be Minkah Fitzpatrick.
I love it.
Leading in, honestly, hold on. What were the Dolphins doing? I know there was a good reason for them trading that pick, but Minkah Fitzpatrick was a special player at Alabama.
Yes.
He's a special player now. Horrible idea to trade him. But there's probably rationale behind it. I mean, he was unhappy there. That team knew they were going to be bad for another couple of years. It's probably the smart move. Anyway, he's my D-boy. Lots of picks, lots of tackles. That's what I got.
I said this when he got traded, that he is one of the most underrated players in football. He's one of the best safeties in football. I loved him out of the draft. I love Minkah Fitzpatrick. He's just not my Defensive Player of the Year yet. If he keeps playing the way he is in black and gold, he will be. But it's just barely by the edge of his skin. It's Shaq Barrett. I think he's having a great year. There's not much to be said about that.
Now, on Coach of the Year, there's a couple tough ones, but I'm going to give it to Kyle Shanahan. He turned this 49ers team around after Garoppolo's injury. People were worried that Garoppolo wasn't going to be the same. I know he hasn't done as good as people would think, but as far as the rest of the roster, they're looking amazing. Nick Bosa has just been phenomenal. People were worried about him coming in with injuries, but nope, he's just been amazing.
I also have Coach of the Year, Kyle Shanahan. He turned this team that I had no faith in into a team that I now believe in with my full tiny heart. Continue.
I have Kyle Shanahan as well. He's one of the best play callers in football. This is the reason the Falcons got to that Super Bowl, because he got the ball to Julio Jones, who's the best receiver in football, and he's been the best receiver in football for the past 5 years, and he's smart and he knows how to get him the ball. I got that out really quickly. But yeah, I mean, the running game's really good, and I think that's because of Kyle Shanahan. He's such a great, and he designs the play action so well off of it. It's just unstoppable.
Now, Rookie of the Year awards, Offensive Rookie of the Year, I have Josh Jacobs. People were questioning one of 3 Raiders picks. This one was one of the questionable ones, people thought. But coming out of Alabama, he's been phenomenal, kind of helping carry that offensive load with Derek Carr. So.
Hey, my Offensive Rookie of the Year is Gardner Minshew. I don't give a shit what anyone else says. He is my favorite quarterback of all time. I had to pick him here. Honestly, I think in a couple of years, Gardner Minshew will end up on a team that will start him, and I think he will produce. Go ahead.
You're wrong, but I respect the meme. Josh Jacobs, not much to be said. He's the man. I loved him out of college. I still do. He's great. Got him on fantasy teams.
Okay, defensive rookie of the year, Nick Bosa. What can I say? Just phenomenal, absolute beast.
I also had Nick Bosa. Actually, the same reasoning. A little creeped out right now. Aaron, go ahead.
I actually had Nick Bosa as well. Same reasoning. A little bit creeped out right now. One thing to add. He hasn't been injured this year. He has been injured, but like, what I'm saying that ever since that he got injured in training camp. Ever since then, he's remained injury free. He had plenty of. Oh yeah, you're knocking on wood. I didn't.
Can you knock on some damn wood?
There, I knocked on wood. Okay. I'm surprised he was injury prone at Ohio State. He was injury prone in training camp, but he's not injured, and I love it. Knock on wood. My comeback player of the year.
Cooper Kupp. I mean, he's basically Jared Goff's safety valve. If he ain't getting it going, then that Rams offense doesn't really get it going.
Hunter Henry. He came back from injury, like double injury, it felt like, because it was such a long one. He's playing amazing. I'm kind of dumbfounded by the way he's playing, to be honest.
Yeah.
I did not think he'd come back that strong.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off there. My comeback player of the year is Cooper Kupp as well. You could go either way here. Doesn't matter. Both the white guys supreme or the white boys supremes are letting them have it. I love it.
Now our last award, most improved player, Lamar Jackson. I mean, after that Chargers game, people are wondering, is he going to be able to actually throw the ball? Should he change positions? And this year, proving the haters wrong. He can throw the ball really well this year, as of right now, and running the ball, he's just been more electrifying, and he avoids the big hits as of right now.
A lot of knocking on wood, but
how about Marlon Mack as the most improved?
I respect it.
He's a decent running back last year, but he's kind of struggled to be the number one back, struggled with healthiness a little bit. This year, he has kept himself together. He has shown that he can turn this team around. He is putting a lot of the team on his back right now, along with Brissett.
My most improved player, I don't think you can go really wrong with this award. You could say anybody. You can say Devin McCourty, Shaq Barrett, Lamar Jackson, who I actually have. You could say Marlon Mack. I mean, there's so many ways you can go with this award, but Lamar Jackson's just that guy that everyone hated on him. All the running back jokes in the offseason, and now he's possibly the MVP of the league, which is just, I love to see it.
And before we transition to NBA, we're going to head back to college quick. We just want to mention a big game, big upset. Kentucky losing to Evansville. A John Calipari. That's just his team losing like that. That's just, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I mean, Kentucky was ranked number one. Everyone thought they were going to stay number one for a while because they had a pretty easy schedule coming up. I don't know how you lose to Evansville. That's crazy to me. But, hey, props to Evansville for coming out and actually competing, not laying down even though you're playing the number one team in the country. Props to them for sure. I think their coach is amazing.
And just thought we'd throw that in there. Now we're going to head to NBA, and like with the NFL, we do power rankings. We just do top 5 until obviously the NFL is over with. It'll be a lot easier. And
we kind of forgot to mention here, Lucas did leave us because he had to go to work. That happens. Life happens. He's not ready for the podcast, but you know what? We'll move on with Adam. He might have to go stop at the barn later. We'll see. Continue.
Okay, so let's start with our top 5. At number 5, I have the Boston Celtics. I was just going to say they have the best record in the East so far. Kemba Walker looks to be a good addition to that team for this offseason.
I have the Minnesota Timberwolves at 5. Playing good ball. I was at the game on Sunday with Ashton, actually. They just barely lost, and I'm very mad about it. Jokic had a game winner, and we got the ball to Wiggins when he was like quintuple team, and Josh Okogie had to throw up a random shot. I have thoughts about that, but I will not elaborate. Wiggins coming off a third.
Another topic for another day.
Yeah. Wiggins coming off a 30-point night. We'll talk about him later.
Number 4, the Utah Jazz. They are currently 8-3, I believe. Their roster is looking really nice. Donovan Mitchell is taking another step up, it looks like. And yeah, not much to say.
My number 4 team is the Houston Rockets. I think they could be higher here, but I'm not there yet. James Harden, 47 points. The dude's insane. We'll talk about him later as well.
Part of that's free throws, but that's another topic for another day as well.
We can talk about this later. We got a topic on James Harden.
Yeah. Number 3, the Clippers. I mean, they're kind of not living up to expectations as of right now. They don't have Paul George. That kind of plays a factor, but defensively, even without Paul George, they still haven't been playing as good as defense. But obviously, they got Kawhi Leonard. They'll have Paul George shortly. I think they'll
Actually,
be
tonight,
fine.
they'll have Paul George, so.
But Kawhi will not be playing tonight, so.
Yeah. Well, I think that could be a good thing, though. You got Paul George, more shots.
Yeah, and they don't have Patrick Beverly tonight.
True.
So.
My number 3 is Utah, the team I had number 1 in the West. At the start of the year, they're playing good ball. I believe they have 3 losses this year, so they're still a really good team, and I kind of expect them to be up here the whole year.
Number 2, the Milwaukee Bucks. They are still balling. Giannis is still trying to improve. He's not afraid to shoot the ball anymore, which is a big step up. I know he doesn't do it effectively, but that's kind of what Ben Simmons needs to watch. Giannis Antetokounmpo. I mean, and he has so much passion for the game too. You saw what happened in that Thunder Bucks game after missing free throws. Went to the locker room, kicked one of their
that sign got destroyed. I feel bad.
He bit and ripped his jersey, but that just shows the passion in Giannis and how much he loves the game. So
yeah. My number 2 team, they're kind of just here because of the record. Boston, they've been so surprising this year. They're number 1 in the East. Kemba Walker's balling out. Noel Horford. I mean, it's impressive to see, and I think this is really showing how good of a coach Brad Stevens is.
And number 1, LA Lakers. One reason, LeBron James.
The GOAT.
That's about it. And Anthony Davis.
Greatest player to ever touch a basketball.
They have 2 GOATs. Him, Alex Cruz.
For sure.
They have a really good record when Alex Caruso plays, even though it's early.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's time for some storylines. There were some big injuries that happened this past week. De'Aaron Fox, Gordon Hayward, and Chris Middleton, they suffered some big injuries.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to talk too much about this, but when you just look at it for each team, the Kings need De'Aaron Fox to win games. They're off to a rough start, and they're going to need De'Aaron Fox for the rest of the season if they want to even sniff the playoffs. Gordon Hayward, I think he's been playing really well this year with the Celtics. He's kind of going back into his old self. And Chris Middleton, the Bucks need him as well. He's a great compliment to Giannis, and he is good on both ends.
Yeah, I think these all are big hits, but the biggest one is De'Aaron Fox because he's such an essential piece to that Kings team, which they kind of built around him. I know they have Buddy Hield, which he's good, but he's not the type of player that De'Aaron Fox is. For this next topic, Aaron, give your thoughts first.
Well, me and Ashton, we took a little break. We saw that the Knicks didn't want Anthony Davis or didn't try to trade for Anthony Davis, even though he had interest. And then there's just more drama with the Knicks getting rid of Fizdale. So I don't have too much to add. I'll let the Knicks fan air his grievances here.
Oh my God. It's been so frustrating. Like, our management is so crap. Like, they really think that we should be a top contending team or a somewhat contending team. No, we should maybe be, if we're contending, it'd be for the 8th seed. We're not supposed to make the playoffs. We're not supposed to be as good. And you're blaming it on the coach. You pretty much said you want him fired, and you don't fire him. Like, what is Steve Mills doing and James Dolan? God, he's such a crappy owner. What the hell are these people thinking? Like, we're not as good as you guys think, okay? At the beginning of the year, I never said we'd make the playoffs, but I said maybe we'd be like a team to be a spoiler, like a somewhat contending team. Not really, but why do you think we're supposed to be really good? We're not. We're young. And if you're blaming someone, don't blame David Fizdale. Blame yourself. You signed 4 power forwards. What the hell are you thinking? God.
Now we're going to talk about something that I would like to talk about. The Minnesota Timberwolves. Andrew Wiggins is an MVP candidate this year. He's not the MVP. I'm saying you could put his name in the discussion. He's definitely the most improved player. He is having such a good year, and not very many people are talking about it. Averaging almost 26 points per game. I think he scored 25 plus in 6 straight, which is crazy. The dude is just bonkers. He's shooting the ball with ease. He's taking less mid-range shots. He's attacking the basket. He's using his spin move, which has been amazing for years. He's got probably the best spin move in basketball, in my opinion. He is turning it himself into a top 10 player right now, and it's amazing to watch. The Wolves, though, Jeff Teague was back last night finally. He came off the bench. He looked really good. He started, I believe, like 6 for 7. It was some good stuff. I watched most of the game. It was really, I just love to see this Timberwolves team clicking. I think Teague will probably end up being in the starting lineup, which I don't love. I like Point Wigs. And then Cat, nobody's talking about him either. He had 28. Nobody talks about him. Wiggins had 30. Cat had 28. I just love to see the T-Wolves be where they are, and I think Wiggins at point guard is the way to go.
Yeah, Wiggins, I mean, I've hated on him a lot, and it's just, Aaron, I'll give you credit, Aaron. He's just been amazing.
Another thing, completely forgot to add this with Wiggins. He is the best passer on the Timberwolves. He's a better passer than Jeff Teague. He's a better passer than Cat. I don't care what anybody says. I saw it in person. I watched the games. He's the best passer on the Timberwolves, and he is turning into one of the best passers in the league. I'm saying that right now. I'm probably going to regret saying that, but I'm going to stick with it.
And honestly, I feel like Cat should be up there for maybe MVP conversation. He's been having a big improvement. And I was watching Jalen and Jacoby, an ESPN talk show. Jalen Rose made a good point. Karl Anthony Towns, he's not playing. He's playing more he's playing more aggressive.
He's got an edge to him this year.
Yeah, it's like Jimmy Butler did something to him, and that kind of triggered him. He's kind of gotten in more fights more, but that just shows the passion he's had in the game. And I would say they mentioned that too with Andrew Wiggins. Like, people were questioning his work ethic, his passion for the game. Does he really care that much? And he's kind of changed that a lot this year. So that is big improvements for both of them.
And I think right now Andrew Wiggins is going to win Western Conference Player of the Week, which I love to see. And I was listening to, I forgot his name, it's Jim something, on the T-Wolves broadcast. But he was saying that interview last year with Kevin Garnett, Cat, and Wiggins. Kevin Garnett asked Andrew Wiggins, why are you not an All-Star? And Wiggins said he'll be there next year. I think that almost lit a fire under Andrew Wiggins. And he is showing out, and I love it because he's my favorite player in the league. And it's awesome to see.
So, we were talking about him earlier. James Harden has been unbelievable, but considering we've seen this from the past, he's not really talked about as much. But, I mean, part of it is, too, which I will say, it's because he gets to the line a lot. Part of it's flopping, and I don't know, part of it's just he knows how to get to the line, how to draw fouls. That's just him being a smart player.
Yeah, I mean, I might have a little rant here, but I think James Harden might be the most underappreciated superstar we've ever seen. Because this guy is almost averaging 40 points per game. He's averaging like 37.8. Nobody cares. Like, nobody's even mentioning him like an MVP or Western Conference Player of the Week or anything. It just blows my mind. He's averaging he's 47-8 or 37-8. It's astonishing. I don't see how he's not in the MVP. He knows how to play the game of basketball, and whether you think it's right or wrong, he does it.
Yeah, and that's what I think people get annoyed about a lot, because he gets to the line so many times. That's what people see in the box score, and they get annoyed with that a lot. And I think they saw last year he was kind of complaining about MVP, so people were kind of frustrated with that and just kind of lost interest in him. And as far as they kind of saw the playoffs, how he kind of chokes as well. But regular season is a lot different than the playoffs, but in some people's minds, that might play a part in that.
I mean, the rules he's not breaking the rules. He's playing within the rules, and all he's doing is playing basketball in a different way, and it's completely legal. And he's doing everything that he is within the rules to do, and I don't see why people are getting mad at it. And he's he's amazing. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah. Now, it's kind of early, but we are going into kind of a more fun topic, kind of our top 10 players so far this year. Who's been the real deal so far?
This is just this year, by the way. This isn't the best players throughout. You're not going to see Kevin Durant here. You're not going to see those guys up here. You're going to see players from this year who are having the best seasons.
All right, number 10, Trae Young. He is lighting a spark for that Atlanta team. Lucas, I think, had him making the playoffs, and it's looking like it right now.
He's looking good. Smart
Yeah,
play.
Trae Young, he's improved his passing a lot, it seems like, and his shooting has just been electrifying. I think I said before he came into the draft, watch out for the next Steph Curry type archetype, but it seems like, Steph's shooting is amazing, and it seems like Trae Young's a little bit more of a passer than Steph Curry too, so that's very huge for him.
My number 10, by the way, this list, you might think it's biased, but I don't care. My number 10 is Karl Anthony Towns. Like you said, you could mention him in the MVP conversation. He's averaging almost 26 points per game, 12 rebounds. One thing with Karl Anthony Towns, though, his three-point shooting has decreased tremendously this year. I think it's just one of those, slumps you get into him. He should come back up to that 40% mark. But so far this year, it's in the 20s, and I don't like to see that. With the game we went to, he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with his jump shot. When he attacked the rim, he could get everything done that he wanted to, but he's got to get that jump shot figured out.
And number 9, I have Devin Booker. Once again, look at the Suns. They're kind of like the Hawks. Devin Booker's had this talent. They just haven't produced wins, and I think the Suns kind of getting a new coach has helped out a lot. So.
Yeah, my number 9, is actually Kyrie Irving. He dropped that 50 bomb on the T-Wolves. He's averaging almost 30 points per game. Not much to say. He's having a great year.
Number 8, Damian Lillard, Dame Dalla. He can shoot, he can finish, he can pass, he can do it all, and he's just got that swagger to him, that confidence. We saw that in the Thunder Trailblazers series. Damian he showed his cockiness, and just love to see it.
Yeah. My number 8 is Luka Doncic. I was high on him out of the draft. I think it was a great pick by the Mavericks, a smart trade, and he is balling out. There's not much to say. The Mavericks are looking good, especially with Luka at the helm.
Now this is probably going to surprise you. I actually have it higher than you do. At 7, I have Karl Anthony Towns.
Okay.
I know his 3-point percentage has decreased, but it's probably just a slump and stuff. But overall, his post game has gotten better. His rebounding, he's more tough on the boards, offensively and defensively, and his defense has improved a lot. He's more physical with players, better shot blocker this year. So
yeah, and we saw it live. He went up against Jokic and he played really well. Jokic is one of the harder players to guard on the play.
And that game winner that Jokic hit, that was great defense.
That was
by
amazing.
Cat. That was just Jokic. That's Jokic, I guess.
Yeah. My number 7 is Anthony Davis. Not much to be said. New Lakers pickup. He's playing amazing. He's playing out of his mind. And yeah.
My number 6 is Luka Doncic. He's taken a step up from last year, even though last year he was amazing. There was a chance I maybe would have considered him an all-star, but Luka's still balling out. Passing looks to be better. His shooting has just been phenomenal, and yeah, number 6.
Number 6 for me is my boy, Andrew Wiggins. The dude is on a tear. I love it. I don't know what else to say. It makes me so happy seeing him actually succeed. And right now, he's balling out, and he's definitely the most improved player in the NBA.
Number 5, I have Anthony Davis. That trade for the Lakers was huge. He takes the weight off of LeBron's shoulders a lot with the lobs LeBron can throw. Just give it to him in the post. Let Anthony Davis go to work. The shooting he brings, the defense he brings. Anthony Davis is just an all-around threat.
Yeah, my number 5 is I actually have him a lot higher than you, Trey Young. He is balling out. He's at like what 27-9 or something like that this year,
Yeah,
which is just crazy stats. I love to see Trey Young proving the haters wrong.
Number 4, I mean, you got to put him in your top 5, James Harden. I mean, he's just been shooting lights out. He knows how to play the game right, and so far in the regular season has hit the clutch shots. And him and Russell Westbrook have turned out to be really good so far. It is early. I think they're still figuring things out, which is good, and their record's not that bad. So.
Yeah. The next player on my list is actually Dame Dalla. He's averaging up to 30 points per game. He's had many big games this year. He's hitting big shots as usual. Not much to be said on him. He's a baller.
Number 3, I have Giannis. I mentioned this earlier when we talked about Giannis, but he's just trying to keep improving his game, mainly his shooting. That was the big question mark, and that's what he's been doing a lot, and we love to see the confidence from him.
Yeah, I have Giannis at 3 as well. Not much to be said. Coming off an MVP season, you can argue whether or not he deserved that. I would argue towards James Harden, but that's a different topic for a different day. Giannis is balling out.
Number 2, I have Kawhi Leonard. Obviously, great defender, great offensive scorer. His passing has improved a little bit too, which is interesting to see with Kawhi Leonard. Like, usually he's not known to be passing a lot, but he's kind of been doing that this year, which is great to see from him.
I actually don't have Kawhi Leonard in my top 10 just because he's had these load management things and he's not scoring as much as he did last year. He's obviously a top, I'm just saying that based on his performances this year, he's obviously a top 10 player in the league. No one's going to debate that. But just based on the performances this year, I don't have him in my top 10. I actually have the greatest player of all time at number 2, LeBron James, 24-11 so far this year. He's amazing. There's nothing to be said. He's still the best player in basketball. I just think this year, I'll just say my number 1, the performances of James Harden. I have to put James Harden number 1. Even though I don't like the turnovers, but I just have to put Harden number 1. He's averaging 40 points per game.
Yeah, well, I got to put LeBron. It's LeBron James. Like I said, Anthony Davis has helped him out a lot. His assists went up, and you figured his points would go down, but LeBron, it seems like defensively has been more like he's put more effort into it compared to last year, but that's because he got an off season to rest up and get ready for this season. That helped out a lot.
Mm-hmm. And now we're going to move on to the MLB, and we're going to discuss all of the awards. Literally while we were recording this, the MVPs were announced. So we're just going to start from the bottom of our list would be the Manager of the Year. Rocco Baldelli, our boy, wins it for the AL, takes it home.
Yeah, that was great to see. I mean, it kind of sucked seeing Paul Molitor go, but maybe it looked like making that change actually paid off. So.
Yeah, I like bringing in the young guy. I really do. I think it was a smart decision. And he brings this kind of new energy to the Twins, and I think he'll be there for a while, and I think he can lead the Twins to hopefully a World Series next year. And in the NL, we have Mike Schilt of the Cardinals, actually, who sadly Lucas can't be here to talk about this. They had a really great year. They had some big signings in free agency who actually didn't really pan out. Andrew Miller had a below-average year. Paul Goldschmidt, he was still decent, but he wasn't what they signed him to be. But Mike Schilt got him in the playoffs.
Yeah, they had a rough start, kind of like the Nationals. Not as rough, but kind of had a rough start, and then they picked it up and were able to win that division.
Yeah, and now we're just going to move on to the Cy Young Awards. We'll start with the AL. Justin Verlander barely edges out his teammate Garrett Cole. You can argue either way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible how good these two were. I feel bad for Charlie Morton. Nobody's talking about him. He had a great year as well. Who was also on the Astros, won the World Series, which is just crazy. And then they had the Astros are ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm not even. We should mention this: the cheating scandal.
Oh.
What do you think? We haven't prepared about this at all. What do you think about the cheating scandal?
If that's true, how can you really punish them? Because this isn't college. Can't really take away a championship, but do you fine them? Do you maybe suspend some certain players or something? I don't.
Yeah, I think it comes with a hefty fine, draft picks. You could see, it's kind of hard to do. And now that asterisk is by the 2017 World Series, you see all the memes on Instagram. It's kind of funny. And yeah, we'll just move right on along to the NL Cy Young. Jacob DeGrom might be a surprise to some people, edging out Ryu and Scherzer, but I actually had DeGrom winning for me personally.
Yeah, that kind of shocked me, but I mean, I don't really see an issue with that. He's amazing. That Mets organization isn't as great, obviously, but yeah.
Yeah, you could make the argument he's the best pitcher in baseball, along with Verlander. Now we'll just move on to the Rookie of the Years, this race was over before.
Yeah.
I'd say the only person you could argue is maybe Tatis in the NL, but he got hurt, so there's nothing there. Pete won in the NL, Jordan won in the AL.
Yeah.
Two sluggers that hopefully we see for a long time hit some dingers.
Yeah.
And now probably the most controversial, the MVPs. We'll start in the NL with Cody Bellinger, and I just want to say this to all of the voters. One voter voted Anthony Rendon in first place. That's ridiculous. I believe there was only one in second place. That's ridiculous. Anthony Rendon deserved more recognition for what he did this year, and he's going to get paid for it this offseason. He was spectacular, and nobody recognizes it, and I think next year he's going to have another year like this, and he's going to prove everyone wrong.
I just don't know how Yelich got more votes than Rendon. Yelich got hurt like in August, kind of like the Rookie of the Year thing. You were mentioning Fernando. I don't know how Yelich got more votes. That just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and in the AL, this is another controversial one. I did vote for Trout. I said that Trout should have been the MVP, barely edging out Bregman. What are your thoughts on this, Ashton?
I guess, yeah, it's kind of controversial, but Mike Trout's the best player in baseball, no doubt. I mean, well, really, what can you say about it?
Yeah, you couldn't go wrong either way. Who is the other guy in that?
I don't even know. It was
Simeon. Oh yeah, why? Okay, another topic. Why would Marcus Simeon be third? You got guys like Mookie Betts that could be there. You could have Altuve, Alvarez, who I don't care. It's not Marcus Simeon. He's not the third best player in the AL. His teammate's better. Matt Chapman's way better than Marcus Simeon. I don't care what anybody says. I've seen him live. So yeah, that's really all we have to say about that topic in the MLB. And now we can move on to our AP All-Pro teams. We hinted at this earlier, and I think this will be really interesting. We'll start with quarterback.
Yeah, would this probably be how we finish it off? Let us know your thoughts, opinions about our teams, and here we go. At quarterback, I got Russell Wilson. I mean, I have him winning MVP. He's been phenomenal. There's multiple options at QB, but I just so happen to have Russell.
I have Lamar. He's my MVP, so I'm going to stick with him. Not much to be said. We've talked about him a lot this pod.
And running back, two options. I'm going to take McCaffrey, but you could also take Cook, which I know Aaron's going to take, but I could care less. They're both really good players.
I mean, just a hint, you're going to see them both in this for me. My running back is Dalvin Cook. He's the man. He's the man.
I just realized about flex. You know what? I'm gonna take out Amari Cooper in my wideout, move Tyler Lockett. Okay. I'll
just say your team.
Okay, so wideout, my first wideout, I got Michael Thomas. Second wideout, I'm taking Amari Cooper out, moving Tyler Lockett there, and then at the flex, I'm putting in Dalvin Cook. I didn't think right with that.
For me, I have Michael Thomas as my wide receiver 1, Mike Evans is my wide receiver 2, and then I have CMC as my flex, who all three are having amazing years.
And the tight end position, Travis Kelce. It's not, I guess, maybe Kittle, but you can't really debate this too much.
I mean, you could say Mark Andrews as well or Darren Waller, but it's Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
He's the guy. He's the best tight end in football.
And now to defense. We'll get to our edge rushers. I have Shaq Barrett and Chandler Jones. They have 10-plus sacks. I think they're tied.
11.5, I think they're tied at.
Yeah, they are tied for first, and they've done a really good job at forcing turnovers as well.
Yeah, I have Shaq Barrett as well, but my other edge rusher is actually Myles Garrett of the Cleveland Browns. I mean, he's the man. He's ripped. Nothing to be said there, but Yeah, I mean, Myles Garrett's the man.
I was thinking about choosing him, but I just saw Chandler Jones' stats, and he's been balling out.
For sure.
Now for the D tackles or inside defensive linemen, I got Aaron Donald. He's been phenomenal, like normal, and I got Grady Jarrett. He's actually had a really good year for the Falcons so far.
Yeah, I also have Aaron Donald. I mean, we all know who he is. He's the man. And then I have Fletcher Cox, who I've talked about many times on this podcast, wreaks havoc and doesn't get the credit he deserves.
Now for our linebackers. I have Jamie Collins Sr. He's forced a lot of turnovers this year, done a good job for that Pats defense. Bobby Wagner, he's obviously amazing. Basically, the piece that holds that defense together. And then Luke Kuechly, kind of the same as Bobby Wagner.
My three there's a couple under the radar guys, but I think that they definitely should be talked about. My first linebacker will be Jalen Smith of the Cowboys, who doesn't get the recognition I think that he deserves, and he is balled out this year, and especially coming off of that injury in college. Everyone doubted him, and he's playing at all-pro level. My other linebacker is Bobby Wagner, the Seahawks. I didn't really want to put him on there, but I don't think the linebacker position is very strong this year, so I think he did deserve that spot. And my third linebacker, I talked about this earlier. Eric Kendricks is slowly turning into one of the best coverage linebackers in football. He's, I believe, 4th in the league in passes defended. From the linebacker position is crazy. And that 4th and 5 against the Cowboys, he's the one who deflected that pass. I mean, he is playing at an all-pro level, and I think he needs some recognition.
Yeah, I saw that, and I thought, wow, he's been really big for the Vikings. Mm-hmm. Now to our cornerbacks, getting into the secondary a little bit more. Cornerback, I have Stephon Gilmore. He's a big part for that Pats defense, lockdown corner for them. And Marcus Peters, I mentioned this earlier, 3 defensive touchdowns. That is really good for a defensive player.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a rare occurrence usually, and to get 3 is just amazing. And he's turned that Ravens defense around a little bit more.
Yeah, my corners, I mean, Stephon Gilmore and Jalen Ramsey.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're the 2 best corners in football, for my money. I mean, you have to have Stephon Gilmore on here. If you don't, you're wrong. But I mean, Jalen Ramsey, he's switched teams, and he's locked down over there. Ramsey's got his own island, and obviously Gilmore is going to shut everyone down.
Now for the safeties, and I guess we'll say our third defensive back.
Fifth defensive back.
Or for our third corner / safety.
Yeah.
I got Minkah Fitzpatrick. He's been balling out ever since he got traded to Pittsburgh. Devin McCourty, he's been playing phenomenal for the Patriots along with Gilmore. And this is a little bit biased. Jair Alexander, he's turned into an elite corner, second-year corner out of Louisville. Mm-hmm. He doesn't get a lot of interceptions, but he doesn't care who he's guarding. He's going to play you tight, kind of like Jalen Ramsey, and he's just kind of a small little pesty guy, quick guy, and he'll just deflect passes left and right.
Yeah, I don't think you could go – I think these 2 safeties are locked in right now, and it's Minkah Fitzpatrick and Devin McCourty. These 2 have been playing at Defensive Player of the Year level this year. It's crazy how good they are. And then my 5th DB is actually Marcus Peters, who Ashton mentioned earlier, who's getting those defensive touchdowns like crazy. Just to go back on Minkah Fitzpatrick, the dude is a stud. I've said it time and time again. He is a stud, and people need to start recognizing this name.
And now to wrap it up, special
the most
teams.
Important positions. Pat McAfee will love me for this. Punter is the most important position in football, besides all the other ones.
All right. Starting with kicker, Justin Tucker. He hardly misses. If he misses, that's an absolute shocker. I mean, we saw last year the Saints-Ravens game. He missed the extra point. Even himself couldn't believe it, his face. And then for punter, J.K. Scott, he's actually been a big part for this Packers special teams. He can bomb it.
Yeah, J.K. Scott has been a good player for the Packers, and I have Justin Tucker as well as my kicker for the All-Pro team, and then I have Johnny Hecker. Yeah. You can't hate the guy.
Yeah.
I love Johnny Hecker. It's really all I got to say on that. Do we have any topics that I forgot?
Nope.
Alrighty, that's been it for this podcast. We're sorry Lucas had to leave, but he did get most of the podcast in, so that's good. We think it was a good one. We had a good amount of rankings. We're trying to get better. Let us know what you think. Share it around. The more people that see this, the better production quality we can get. The more money we can spend on this. It's just really the more people that see it, the better it's gonna get.
And I think we are getting really close to having our first guest on the show, which would be really nice to have someone else's perspective on a certain like sport or topic.
Yeah, for sure. And these guest appearances, we'll try to probably keep them to one section, whether it's NFL, whatever they're best at. But if you guys want to see someone for a full episode, let us know. I mean, the comments are open. We're open to all suggestions. We just want to get better, and we want to do what everybody wants to hear, and that's what this podcast is
And if
about.
you're interested in being one of those guests, like I've said, past episodes, just DM us.
Yeah, DMs are open as well. We respond to everything. Hopefully, it's within a short amount of time, just whenever we get to it. But I think it's been a good podcast. And follow us on Instagram at the Sports Enthusiast. Twitter is at SportsENTPod. And that's been it. Ashton, any closing things?
No. Thanks
Alrighty.
for listening.
Yep. Thank you guys. Have a good one.